So this is the third video for your terminology packet. Make sure you try these examples on your own before checking your answers with this video. Pay attention to the question. It's asking you what is the coefficient of the second term. So you're looking at the second term here for each of these, and the coefficient is the number in front of the variable. So here, the coefficient is a -4. In the next example, the coefficient, you don't see it. That's because it's a -1. Coefficients of 1 don't have to be written. It's a -1x squared. If it was 0, then this term wouldn't even be there. But since it is there, there's one of them. It's a -1x squared. And then the last example, that coefficient is 4. And it's positive. Next examples, we are looking for the constant. Remember, the constant is this term without a variable. So in the first example, the term without a variable is 3, so that's the constant. It's 3. The only term we see is -1, and that is also a constant. And then our last example here, this +4 is your constant. Now, quick note, say I gave you 5x squared plus 2x. There is no constant here. That means the constant is actually 0 if it's not written. You're never going to put +0, but that's what the constant would be if this was your polynomial. Next question is identifying the exponent. Again, we're looking for the exponent of the second term. So I'm going to underline our second term here for each of these. And then let's identify the exponent. So here's our exponent 3. The next one, there is no variable, so its exponent is actually 0. And then this third one, the exponent is 2. Next, we are identifying the degree. Remember, the definition of degree is your largest exponent. So the largest exponent in this first example is 4. The second example, there is no exponent, so it's a 1. There is a variable, so it's exponent of 1. If it was just this constant, its exponent would be 0, and that would be the largest. But since we do have this first term with an exponent of 1, that's the degree. And then the last example, the largest exponent we see is 2. Next, we are asking how many terms do we see? So I see 1, 2, 3 different terms. That's the number of terms. I see just one term in the second example, and then I see 2 terms in that third example. Next, we're looking for the coefficient again, but the difference is that we're looking at the first term. So this first term is what I'm going to underline for each of these. The coefficient here is a -2. Here there is no coefficient, but it is a +1. And then the last example, there is no coefficient, but it's a -1. So it's -2, +1, and then -1. Those are your coefficients for each of the first terms. Next, again, we're looking for constants. Here's the example where there is no constant. The constant is 0. The next example, the constant is -4. And then again, I do not see a constant, so the constant is 0 once again. Next, we're looking for exponents, but we're looking for the exponent of the first term. So I'm going to underline our first terms for each of these. And let's look at the exponent. I see an exponent of 3, an exponent of 1, and then no variable, so its exponent is 0. What is the degree? Again, degree is your largest exponent. So the largest exponent here would be 2. Here it's a 1. And then here we have a 3. All right. Now, we know how to name based on the number of terms. Go ahead and fill these out on your own. Pause the video so you can fill those out. All right, let's see how you did. Remember, if there is one term, we call it a monomial. If there are two terms, we call it a binomial. 3, it would be a trinomial. Now, if there are 4, there is no special name for 4 or more. No special name for 4 or more. So if it had 4 or more, you would just call it the generic name of a polynomial. All of them are polynomials, but we can be more specific when there's 1, 2, or 3 terms and call them monomial, binomials, and trinomials. Now, these I've talked about in class, but I did not give you any notes on these in the video or in your packet yet. But when the degree is 0, we call it a constant polynomial. If the degree is 1, we call it linear. If the degree, your largest exponent, is 2, we call it quadratic. If the degree is 3, your largest exponent is 3, then we call it a cubic. And then if there are 4 or more, 4 or higher, if the largest exponent is 4 or higher, we don't have to memorize. I'm not asking you to memorize higher than that. So all you would have to do is write 4th degree. If it was a 5, then you would write 5th degree, and so on. All right? And that's it.